Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a Sunday sermon. Each week, we bring you a channeled message from the Holy Spirit. There are always incredible messages, and this morning is going to be no exception. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be channeling the spirit of Moses. As you know, Moses was the individual that brought leadership to the Jewish nation and led them to Judea, and was one of God's, I guess, most famous servants. So I know he is here. I know he wanted to give the talk today, so let us begin. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I have served God many, many times. In my life as Moses, I had a very, very distinct responsibility. He wanted me to lead the tribes of the Jewish nations at the time to the promised land, to Judea, because he knew that in the future times he was going to return. And he wanted the Jewish nation to act as the foundation for his ministries. Jesus was raised with a Jewish background, and the Jewish people were the ones to whom he mostly spoke during his ministries. The great irony is that it was the Jewish people, the ones that were supposed to accept him as the Messiah, were the ones that wound up putting him to death. So you see, even the Jewish people had free will and did not use it properly. Of course, I did my best. It was a very difficult time. The Egyptians were using the Jewish people as slaves, were making them work to build their great structures. And I wanted to do what I could. God came to me and he asked me, will you please do this important thing for me? He comes to all of you too. You just may not realize it. He says, will you help spread my words? Will you listen to my words? Will you understand them? Will you do all of the things that I know are very, very important for you to live a good life? Many of you, especially those that are listening, you respond and you do your best. You know that the words of the Holy Spirit that Barry brings to you are always speaking the truth. We do speak the truth. You may not always speak the truth to yourself. You may tell yourself that you're doing your best, but you may not really do all that you can do. When I led the Jewish tribes, it was one incredible, difficult journey. All the tribes had different leaders. The leaders had different beliefs. Some were very fervent in their belief in the one God, some not so much. So it was not easy. I had to sometimes exert strength to hold them together. Sometimes I had to praise them. I had to do all of the things that your politicians do today. But I never lied to them like your politicians do. So that is one big difference. But I had a very difficult path. The way was very difficult. We had to maneuver. We had to cross rivers. The Egyptian army was not real pleased with what we were doing. So there were many things, and God had to step in and help us at times. He was always there with his leadership. Well, he's always there with your leadership as well. Maybe that's one of the most important messages that I can give to you, is that God is always willing to help you. I knew that I had to ask him. I had to pray to him, and my prayers were answered because He showed us the way to find the path to the promised land. He will show you the way to find the path to heaven. And for you, heaven is the promised dimension, the promised land, although it's not land. Heaven is incredible. I can tell you a little bit about it because I spent a lot of time there. It's an amazing place. You can literally do anything that you wish to do as long as it's good. You can't lie. Even though you have free will in heaven, it stops at that limit because in heaven there is no evil. And when people lie, they're creating evil. Have you ever thought of it like that? It's actually very evil to lie. So you know when you're not telling the truth that you're doing something that God doesn't want you to do. If not telling the truth was a good thing, he would allow it in heaven. But when you return to heaven, it's the great truth, because then you're going to find out just how good you did living your life. When I got to heaven, they pointed out things that I had done, things that I wish I had not have done in my youth and even sometimes in my adulthood. But it was very important because I learned from them and I tried not to do it anymore. I lived several lives after my life as Moses. I'm speaking to you as in that past life. But I lived other lives. I came back and tried to help the Jewish civilization on several different occasions. I was actually there when Jesus was walking the earth. I didn't play a large role, but I tried to help him and I served him and I did the best I could do. In all of my lives, I've always tried to do the best that I can do. Sometimes it's very difficult. There's physical pain, grief, all the things that make a human life very, very hard. But you need to use the hardships and build on them. It is hardships that give you the incentive to know when there is no hardship. Many people suffer great pain, and they know when there is no pain that they recognize it. Many people do not know pain in their lives, and when they get some pain, they're devastated by it because they're not used to it. So in a human life, you have many, many difficulties, and I guess you get used to it. You make decisions how to counter those difficulties. You make decisions how you can best serve God. As all of us tell you, a strong foundation of faith is necessary if you're going to truly find happiness in your life. Happiness, many people define happiness in many different ways. I define it as knowing God and living a good life, helping others. Many people define happiness as having great wealth, political power, the abilities to control nations, to control armies, to send hundreds of thousands of young men to an early grave. Well, that's not a good type of power to have. All of you that are listening, you have greater powers than the most difficult dictators that live today, because you are succeeding where they have not. They are living lives of evil. You are living a life where you're trying to do your best. Those of you that pay attention to the words that you're brought, you go out and you try to help others. It can be very simple things, you know that. It can simply be helping someone that's lonely, opening a door, helping senior citizens that are losing their mobility, showing people that are lonely that there are truly people that care. And those of you who take time to listen, you truly care. That is so important. Many of you that listen have incredibly difficult lives. We know that. We do our best to help, but much of it ties into your life plans, and quite often there's very little we can do for you. But we can always give you support. You always know that we are near. All you have to do is ask through prayer, and we will try to do our best with you. Many of you are suffering terribly. Your political leaders are taking advantage of you. They're creating living conditions where the costs are going up, where it's difficult to make a living. Today, there's a new thing called automation, artificial intelligence, and they're using robots to do jobs that people used to do. Many of them are simply laying these people off without giving them any additional job training. There are many people that have worked at corporations for many, many years and are finding that machines are replacing them. This is not good for the people, but what you have to do is you have to look at it as opportunity. If automation is affecting your life, change your life. Try to do something else. Maybe if you're in senior ages, you can retire. Use the time that you get after you retire to help others. It'll give you more time. Maybe if you have had problems with earning enough money during your life, you may feel that you may never be able to retire. And I know that's very frustrating. Today, we're seeing people that are in their 70s that are out working every day, trying just to pay their bills. The government of the United States has squandered much of their retirement funds. Many people have paid Social Security all their lives and find out that the government has decided to spend them on something that they felt was more important than saving that money so that those people could be supported in later life. The government, they're facing a great problem because they squandered the money. If humans squandered the money, the ordinary people, the ones that live ordinary lives, if they squandered the money that they have access to the way the government does, no one would be able to pay their own way. So it's not an easy time for all of you. You know it. I know it. We all know it. All of those of us in heaven that try to serve you know that it is a very difficult time. And that is part of the reason why we are bringing you so many messages, where we're trying to give you advice. Teach the young that they have to be responsible for themselves. They cannot rely on others. They cannot rely on government. Because government, you cannot rely on them. I'll just be polite. They will take the money and they will squander it and they'll do what they want. And in most instances, they will do very little for the people. They'll often lie to you and tell you that they're doing all these great things. But you understand, you feel the pain. Today, there's many wars being fought, and that's taking so much of the money that could be used to help others. That could be shoring up your Social Security, for bringing you confidence that you know that your money will be available when it's time for you to retire. So there's many problems. There's always been problems. That is part of what humans have to do. They have to solve the problems. If you go out and you apply the words that Jesus spoke, you'll take massive first steps towards solving your problems. Don't do anything that you don't want done to others. That's a basic. If you follow those words, you'll find out that others may not try to take advantage of you. Oh, your government still will, because the last thing that they would ever do is follow those words. They're in it for the wealth, for the gain, for the power. But all of you're in it for the path to heaven. You know that if you make the right decisions, that the pathway will be lit for you and it will be very easy to follow. The most important thing in any of your lives is heaven, because every soul returns to heaven. Every soul goes home. And every soul is judged when it returns for how they live their lives. You all know that. Barry has told you in so many different ways on so many different shows how important it is just to simply live a good life. Living a good life assures you're welcome in heaven. You do not want to have to be told of all the terrible things that you did. It's not worth it. The human life can seem like it is very, very long, but it's not. Compared to the time that your soul has been around, as you know, it's a blink in the eye. But it can be a very, very difficult blink. It can be like somebody stabbed you in the eye and made you blink. Because a human life is often determined by karmas of the past. As you live your life, you're creating karmas for the future. You're also creating karmas that can happen during this lifetime. Many of you go out of your way to do the best that you can, and bad things still happen to you. That is because other people's free will can influence your life as well and be out of your control. But all you can do is do the best with the things that you can control. You can control how you treat others. That is the main thing. When you're good to others, heaven will be good to you. If you treat others badly, heaven will not be as nice. Now, there is nothing really terrible in heaven. Let me get that out of the way. Even in the lower levels, it's still miraculous, because the fact is that people have done many, many things, still have a place in heaven. You don't have to rely on the church to go to heaven. I know we strengthened the church, the Jewish faith, because we needed in those days to pull people together. The tribes that I worked with had many, many differences. They would fight among themselves. They would have no common goal. I tried to give them a common goal, and that was to get to the promised land that God has promised them. They didn't own the lands that they were on. They were at the mercy of the pharaohs of Egypt. But I said, if we can get to this land that God has told me about, then you will be able to own the land and you will be able to control what takes place. Now, that wasn't always true because the Romans were controlling it, but keep in mind, I was living many, many years before the Romans walked the earth. But it was a land, I referred to it of milk and honey. Maybe you want to think of heaven as the dimension of milk and honey. You can think of heaven any way you want it. Heaven is the goal. Heaven is the be all and the end all. Heaven is where every soul winds up. No matter how invincible you think you are, you may be only one heartbeat away from traveling to the promised land. Prepare. Do not fear. The day that you go to heaven is the greatest day of your life. You hear that many times, and I know many of you may find it hard to believe. But that is the day that all the pain is gone, all the suffering, all the political influences that affect your life. That's all gone. Because now you're in this incredible dimension of God, where God is the ultimate politician. And in this case, the ultimate politician has only your best will at heart. This ultimate politician that I'm referring to as God, he will never lie to you. Yes, you will never find the ultimate politician as a human, but it does exist in heaven. You must think of him as the leader. He is truly the leader. He controls so much. He has powers beyond your belief. He showed you his powers when he resurrected. That was incredible. You have no way of duplicating the energy that it took for him to do that one simple act for him. Impossible for you, but simple for God. Heaven, heaven is for real. You may trust me when I tell you that, because I, as the other Holy Spirits, will never lie to you. I want you to live the best life. I want you to find happiness in this life. I want you to find the happiness that comes with believing and following the words of God, because that is the path. God is the light. You hear that all the time. Because when you pass into heaven, you will see the light. There will be a light in front of you. You may think death is darkness, but it is not. Death is actually light. I don't know if you've ever thought of it like that, but it is the light of heaven, because that's where you're headed. So go out and do your best. I did, and I know many of you are doing that. You're helping others. You're doing all of the great things that God asks you to do. Today can be the first day of the rest of your life. Think of it like that. Think of each day as an opportunity to serve God. It won't be as difficult as it was for me, but it will still be difficult. Many people will frown upon you for even using the word God. Many people will swear. Many people will cuss. They will do all of the things to harm you because you truly believe. But you're the ones that's right. You're the one that's going to receive the benefits of heaven. All of those that look down upon you will be stuttering when they close their eyes the last time. They will be amazed because they think it's the end, but it's not. It's the beginning. So thank you for allowing me to come back. It's been quite a while, but I always enjoy speaking. Live a good life. Know that God loves you, and know that He is blessing all of you. So thank you and goodbye. Well, great soul. He accomplished so much in his life. I wish we knew more about it, about the truth of it. Of course, I've brought you a lot of the truth about his life, and you can go back and listen to some of our channelings, and you'll see what a great person he was. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Join us every Sunday morning. We're here. We always bring you a different spirit and different type of message. Especially join us Wednesday mornings when I bring you a weekly message from Jesus. And Friday nights, we're now doing Pathway to Knowledge. Had some incredible shows the last couple of weeks. Check it all out. It'll all help you. So goodbye, and thank you so much for listening.